Yo, what's up, people? We out here with another episode of Setting Sail, Go the Mission. You're out here with the buff missionary. Y'all know what it is. Y'all know how we do. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And I had something on my mind recently. See, going out of 2021, I've been working on my weight training game. And this idea or this thought kind of popped into my mind as I was editing some videos to highlight my quest to 1,000 pounds, the 1,000 pound club, the other day. And something that I got to see again that I guess kind of forgotten as it happened a few weeks ago. I had made it through the squat. I had made it through the deadlift and I set new highs. I set new personal records there. But on the bench press, it was interesting. The bench press is the one where I had had the most success before. I'd actually never done the deadlift or the squat because, to be honest, I didn't want to get hurt. I thought those were just injuries waiting to happen. I was scared of it, for lack of a better term. I was skipping leg day almost every week. No, the point is, the exercise that I was always the most comfortable with turned out to be the one where I ended up failing the most. And this is because after doing this particular exercise over and over again, with spot, without a spot, you get comfortable with it. You begin to see what you can do, how far you can go, and you're just used to what that motion, that movement feels like. You kind of know what to expect and you know how to avoid complete failure, but you know how to get in that last rep where the real gains are, which is the failing rep. All of that to say, I'm working on this 1,000 pound club and I know that I'm gonna need at least 285, 295 or more on the bench, and whatever I do on that day there is going to impact what I do on the next day for the squat, which would be my last workout of the 3-day stretch. And I remember getting on the bench, and it had been a long time training to get back into this seat. I had actually injured my shoulder doing gymnastics, maybe, I don't know, in March, a long time ago. And for the next several months, my shoulder was just in a lot of pain, couldn't really move it without feeling it. A lot of the things that I really like to do, unable to do, couldn't play basketball, a lot of sports, just, it was very painful. Stretching is the key. Stretching is really the key. And I could definitely talk about that at length, no pun intended. The reality is, after getting back into a really slow routine, daily stretching, a little bit of weight here and there, finally my shoulder was good enough to get back into it. Now, the X factor with all of this is, here I am, right? I'm in this quest to get to 1,000 pound club, and I know what's going on with my shoulder. I know where it's coming. I don't want to push it too far. The issue is, usually I'm in there with a spotter, especially on the bench. You can drop the deadlift, or you just don't have to pick it up. With a squat, if you get down too low and you can't get back up, you can just chuck it off your shoulders, no problem. But with the bench, it's just you and the bar. That's all it is. And if you can't lift up the weight, if you're on your own, it can be very difficult to get out from under that. Yeah, it can be. But the crazy thing is, I go through the reps and I'm making the progress, and I'm kind of surprising myself with each new rep, setting a new high. And I finally get up to 275. I was starting to get excited because I realized, man, I had never done 265 without a spotter before. So to realize that I had the strength and the ability to do that, I was like, man, praise God, this is good. I don't want to push it. I don't want to get overconfident and mess up and hurt myself because I was in the gym on my own. But I did want to push myself to see how far I could go. And I remember I was actually wearing this wristband right here, Fear Nothing, right? And I said in the video clip, yo, this is exciting, man. I'm going till I fail. I'm going until I fail, all right? It might be the next rep, doesn't matter. I'm going till I fail. You will see me fail in this video because I'm going until I fail. And just the excitement of being able to do one rep and a higher weight and another rep, that got me to that point where it said, you know what? I have to know how far can I go? I have to know what is the furthest that I can get to before I can't do any more. I had to know what my limit was. I had to know. Well, sure enough, I got on that 295 it was. I made it 285, went to 295, and I failed. And here's the clip. If you're watching, here's the clip. You can see my epic failure on 295, but you can also see my excitement and my happiness because I tried it. I didn't succeed. It was a failure, but I was glad for the experience. It taught me a lot there, and I think there's a lot we can learn from it as well. See, I've been thinking over the past few weeks, especially being back out in Palau, what is it about missions that people are kind of scared of? What is it about serving other people? What is it about the mentality of missions and service that people are scared to embrace? Well, that's the funny thing, because when you think about it, if I were to ask majority of people, do you wish that more people were mission-minded and served others? Yeah, you'd probably say yes. I'm guessing that you would say yes. But if you ask people how much of that can they point to in their own experience, you might not find as many people raising their hands or coming with the testimonials to tell you, you know what I'm saying? So then it becomes interesting, because it's like, why is there that difference there? Why is it something that we all wish was better? We all want to be served better. You have statements out there like the customer's always right. You have this idea that we all want to be served better, but when it comes to us actually flipping it and being the ones doing the serving, we're a little bit more hesitant. It's harder for us to take that step to go and to do something about the things that we see. And speaking of the things that we see, how often do we look at problems and issues? We might see things on the news, we might see things in different countries, we might see things happening in our own cities and towns, on our own street, mind you. How often do we say, you know what, I'm the one who can make the difference. I can get out here in the streets and do something about this. It's just something to think about. Definitely not saying that none of you watching this and none of you listening never go out to address these things, but it's something to think about. I'm also not saying that every time I see something, I'm like, oh, I got to go and do that, and let me get over here. And because I'm not like that. There's still that reservation. There's still that reservation sometimes. So what is it that we can do to help ourselves get to a point where we're not afraid of failure? That might be a really, really big step. It is a really big step, especially with that kind of weight. But you know something funny? On the flip end of that, of my experience, you have people who might be getting into the gym for the very first time. And I think it's harder, at least in my conversations with people, there's a bigger wall in the minds of people who are just getting into working out and thinking of going to the gym for the first time than there is in my mind when it comes to trying weight that I can't do. Why is that? Because there's some prior experience there. There have been some steps taken. There has been some failure that has occurred to get to the point where I don't mind failing at 295. And where it's exciting because I know the same process that got me there can take me further. But for someone at the beginning, they don't have that. They're just starting out. They don't know where to start. They see really big people walking around who can't even turn around, big thick necks, and I don't know, they see all these people walking out and around the gym and they look at themselves in the mirror and they say, I don't belong here. I can't do that. And we fall into this trap. It doesn't have to be the gym, but with beauty standards, with skills and abilities. It was me with handstands and gymnastics, things that I was watching people do. We fall into this trap of thinking that just because I'm starting means I have to be at the top of the game and I have to look like that and I have to do this just like that from the jump. It's not true. It's not true. And just because you don't see the amount of progress as quickly as you would like to, also doesn't mean that your work is worthless. Any little step that you take is progress. You stay consistent, you work with it, you figure it out, and you keep going. But taking the first step is often the hardest step. So I was telling one of my friends, work with him right here in the dorm. I said, you know what? You don't even have to start with that much. Forget about this, oh man, I gotta be in the gym for 2 hours and I gotta be doing all this heavy weight and how do I target all the different muscle groups? I said, go to the gym for 10 to 15 minutes. Figure out something that you like to do and do that and then leave. He's like, whoa, you can do that? And even in the asking of that question, it makes me realize as well, I have to be more aware of the way that I ask the question and try to inspire people to mission and service. And we all do, because if we make it look like only one thing, that might be too big of a leap for someone to do. They might not realize that something here on this level where you are right now is still mission and service. But the thing is, once you take that first step, who knows what comes next, right? It's easy for me to sit here and talk about go do missions for 5 years because I did missions for 5 years. But for the people that I'm trying to relate to here, that are oftentimes just getting out of high school, just finding their own way and their own path here on a university level, they may not have necessarily experienced that before. It's a big leap. Trying to find the way to relate the experience that I know is possible and the enjoyment I know people can have to people who haven't been exposed to anything like that before, it's a challenge. And I say this to myself, obviously, but to any of you out there who feel like there are things that you'd like to see and changes you'd like to see, don't forget that there might be a gap that you need to bridge before that can happen. Sometimes you have to take a step back and not worry about accomplishing this big thing up here, but focus on how to get people to take the first step. Well, my friend did start going to the gym. He did start going for 15 minutes and doing something he liked and then leaving. And another guy joined in too, and a few other guys did too, because they realized that it's something that they could do. Little steps. When it comes to mission and service, how can you help someone who's next to you? How can you help the people in your family? What can you do today to make the experience of that person who's right in your area just a little bit better? That's what mission and service is about. Thinking about someone else and their betterment. Thinking about the little things that you can do to help make the experience of someone else who's not you better. And the irony is, for you, you're still going to get the blessing and the benefit anyway from sharing and from helping people to take those little steps. It's awesome to me when my colleagues and the students, they come back to me and they talk to me about the things that they were able to do. And realizing that, you know what? The mere fact that I set foot into the gym means that my journey matters. My journey is a success just because I took the first step. I really have to laugh because I swear people think that I was born this way. I was not born this way, all right? Right now, I'm like 5'11", maybe 210 pounds. When I finished 8th grade, I was about 4'7", 8", 4'9" tops. And I weighed probably 120, 130 pounds. I was a little pudgy kid. I was short and I was pudgy, and I had big feet. I was wearing size 11 shoes when I was in 8th grade. Absolutely ridiculous. Or 9. I was pretty funny to look at, in my own opinion. High school, usually that's where people get their bigger growth spurts. Not me. By the time I finished high school, I was about 5'3", something like that, weighed about 150. Telling you, I was an athletic kid, but I was a little pudgy kid. A little skinny and pudgy at the same time. So I wasn't really doing much. When I started college, I was 5'5", so praise God I grew a little bit, got a couple inches. And because of all the food I ate, that first semester of college, I gained about 30 pounds. So I was about 180, 185 by the time I finished my first year of college. No one believes me when I tell them that. And I wasn't lifting weights. I didn't start lifting weights till my second year of college. And it's been a process over years, fine-tuning things and getting better at things. And I remember some of the tanks that I saw in the gym. I saw those guys down there. I said, nah, zero interest. It's not happening. But eventually I had to go in there as skinny, as pudgy as I was, and I had to start. I had to take a step. I had no idea what I could become. I had no idea if I would continue on. But taking the step is where the victory was. And even starting with the lightest of weights, doing the only thing that I could do was a victory. Look, you can go halfway around the world, change the world, and make an awesome impact. And that's awesome. It's amazing. It's fantastic. And don't get me wrong, it's my goal that every student, every person that has a chance to do it, you take the opportunity to go and you serve for a year, as long as possible, just to have that experience. That is my goal. But you know what else is awesome too? Helping your classmate with a homework assignment. Helping someone out with a meal when they don't have any food. Seeing what a family member might need that you don't really ask because you assume that everything's taken care of because of your family, right? That's awesome too. Smiling at someone as they walk by just to acknowledge that they're there. That's awesome too. There's all different kinds of little things that you can do to start the ball rolling. And then once you open up that door, you don't know what's through that door. You don't know what else is there. You have no idea how far you can go. You don't know what you can become. You don't. But here's the thing, and this is what this podcast is all about. Yes, mission and service, but the reality is that missions and service, the mentality of mission and the ideas of service, they exist beyond your comfort zone. We have to get out of the shells that are ourselves. We have to get out of the mentality that the only things that matter are my list of to-dos. We have to break that shell, and we have to get out of the comfort zone so we can start to see the needs of the people around us. For some of us, our mission happens right here in our own home, to our siblings, to our parents, to our children, to our cousins. For some of us, it happens right here in our schools, to our classmates, to our teachers, to our roommates, to our suite mates, to our RAs, to our deans. For some of us, it happens right here, all over the world, to the people that we serve and the communities we get to become a part of. And all of that is awesome. What are you doing? What steps are you taking to break free from the comfort zone? What are you doing to take that first step into the gym? Because that's where the growth happens. That's where you get stronger. That's where you get wiser. That's where you put yourself at risk of failure every time you go in there. But guess what? It's a rewarding feeling when you come out. And the longer you stay in there, the longer you stay out of your comfort zone, the more gains you'll see. Something to think about. What's your next step? What's the next thing that you can do? What will it take for you to start looking outside of yourself and to adopt this mentality of mission and to embrace a life of service? Look at the world today. Tell me it doesn't need it. I'm gonna stop right there. I said enough for now. Hey, it's the Buff Missionary. Thanks for tuning in. And it's a wrap for this one. Y'all know what it is. You know how we do. Check it out, like, subscribe, share it with somebody. If you appreciate what you're hearing, share it with somebody, subscribe to the channel, follow, all that good stuff. It all helps out. Trying to get these messages out there to be a little benefit, a little inspiration to somebody. That's what it's all about. And I want you to remember, to exist, it's not enough. We out here to be out here. So until next time, let it do what it do, baby.